What is a habit? Habit is a behavior that we repeatedly do every day, and it becomes a routine where we tend to follow it in a subconscious way. This episode will tackle a psychology topic on habits and why we need these 6 successful habits that can really transform your life completely. I really think that all 6 of them, especially number 5 and 6, could really help transform anybody's life if they actually try to apply it consistently. Because the thing is, a lot of people start something, a new habit, and then when they don't have the motivation or the inspiration to do it anymore, they stop. When you work out, after a month, you don't see any results, you think that it's not working because you don't trust your process. But then if you have a process and you trust in your process, even if you don't see something inside you, there's already something brewing up. And that's when you will slowly see results. But you don't have to wait for results. So in this episode, we'll talk about 6 habits that can completely transform anybody's life if they just stay consistent with their process. You ready? Let's go. What is a habit? Habit is a behavior that we repeatedly do every day, and it becomes a routine where we tend to follow it in a subconscious way. Like, for example, do you brush your teeth? Of course you brush your teeth at least once a day, right? If you brush your teeth every 3 days, there's something wrong with you, and I don't want to talk to you anymore. You brush your teeth every morning, perhaps, before you go to work, or if you leave the house, and even if you don't leave the house, you brush your teeth in the morning. And most likely, barring that you don't fall asleep in bed, you brush your teeth also before going to bed. I hope so too. So you brush your teeth at least twice a day. And that's the thing. It becomes a habit of ours. That's a good habit to have, right? Brushing your teeth or taking a bath. Taking a bath is actually a habit. If I ask you now, what time do you take a bath? Like probably in the morning or in the afternoon or after your workout. I probably take a bath at least 2 to 3 times a day when I'm home, or especially when I go out, especially now with the pandemic. With that, I don't want any germs going from my body to my bed. So I always take a bath at least twice or thrice in a day. What I'm trying to say here is that it's a good habit that we form, just as we have bad habits as well, like how you actually learned how to drink regularly. Some people need to drink like 3 bottles of beer before they fall asleep. Like I have a friend like that who actually has to drink 8 bottles of beer before going to bed every night. And I said to her that how can you actually do that? Because, at your age, we're the same age. I mean, that's gonna affect you in a negative way. I've never heard really a good effect of beer. I mean, drinking beer once in a while is good, but every night as a habit for you to fall asleep is a bad habit to have. Like, just like smoking is. If you're a regular smoker, before you went to the habit of smoking, let's say a pack of cigarettes or even a half pack of cigarettes a day, you started with 1 and it became 2 a day and it became 3, 4, and so on and so forth. And I know that myself. I've been a smoker too before in my 20s. Like the most probably I smoke in a day would be between 5 to 8 sticks of cigarette in a day, because it became a habit. When every time we go out on a club drinking, automatically I know I would be smoking 5 sticks of cigarette, or maybe even more, because I probably drunk. I don't remember. But it's a habit because I see it from myself. I'll talk about here 6 habits that can help improve each and everyone's life. It helped me a lot, and I hope it can help you as well. And that's why you're here. You're listening. If you're in the podcast, you're watching this video on YouTube. So hopefully it can help you. Number 1, I want to talk about waking up early. And it's in conjunction with sleeping early. A lot of people talk about waking up early, but at the same time, it is equivalent to sleeping early as well. If you want to wake up early, you have to sleep earlier. Because let's say you sleep at 12 and you want to wake up at 6. That's 6 hours. Pretty good. But if you sleep at like 11 and you wake up at 7, it's a lot easier for you to do that, or wake up at 8 because you have like 8 and 9 hours of sleep, which is right about the good average that you should have. So you should start your day by simply waking up early in the morning. If you're used to waking up, like let's say 9 a.m., try to wake up at 8:30 for 1 week and then adjust it to 8 when you're used to 8:30. Don't go from 9 a.m. to automatically doing at 5. I tried that before. I used to wake up at 9 and then I tried waking up at 4:30, and that 4:30 became 5, 5:30, 6, 6:30, and here we go again. I'm back to 9 a.m. because I did it so abrupt, right? I wanted to make it a habit to wake up early. This is in a proven fact that research have shown that your willpower and creativity are strongest in the morning. I truly believe that, because your mind is not as cluttered as this in the morning compared to it at night, because so many things have happened to you the entire day that you have so many thoughts in your mind. But when you just woke up, your mind is almost completely empty. Everyone's asleep. There's no messages. There's no distraction whatsoever. And so your creativity is strongest in the mornings. Make the most of this, what we call golden focus hour time, before your phone starts buzzing. And if your phone is not on silent, always put it in silent and put it away. Because once the emails, the Facebook notifications starts piling up, you'll be sucked into a black hole, and you don't want that to happen. Wake up early plus sleep earlier, but do it very gradually. That's number one. Number two, and this is probably, I think, one of the hardest things to do, is to meditate. Now, as mindfulness and meditation concepts grow in popularity now today, you've seen it on Netflix, How to Meditate. They've done a series about meditation. More research is being done to see how consistent time spent in meditation will actually affect our brains in a positive way. There has been no proof that meditation gives a bad effect on our brains, in our bodies, in our mind, right? It's always been positive if a person does meditation. Meditation changes how your brain operates and brings you more awareness of things that happens to you. When I meditate, I let thoughts come into my head. If something pops up in my head, I let it be. That's the thing. I don't try to brush it away. If I think about, something that worried me about yesterday, I let it come into my mind. Imagine this. Meditation is like self-talk. So you're talking to yourself repeatedly over and over again. And if you do this over and over again, you will get tired of your own mind talking to you. Eventually, it will go away because your mind is already tired of talking to you. That's what meditation does to you. All these thoughts coming into you, that's why it's hard for a person to meditate for the first time, because so many thoughts come into your head. It's like someone talking here. You know Professor Xavier in X-Men, a lot of people are trying to talk to him all the time, right? So he tries to block it as well. So that's a superpower that he has. Like, he can communicate with everyone that he wants to, right? In X-Men, in the comics, and even the movies. The same thing in meditation. When you focus on things and thoughts come to your head, there's a lot of things that will go inside your head, but at the same time, that's a good chance for you to actually get bored with all the thoughts that you have. Remember, you have over 300 thoughts that come into your head every minute. And that's a normal thing that happens to a person. Did I close the lights? Did I forget to close the electric fan in our house? Did I send that email to the client? Did I walk the dog last night? All these things come into play all together at the same time. It brings you to awareness of your inner experience of life as it happens. It's with the contrast with the events that happen to the outside world at the same time. The practice is filled with such endless gold that when you meditate, all these thoughts flow into your head as normal as possible without them not being organized. So your thoughts now become more organized. So you become more calm as it happens to you on a daily basis. That's what it does. Meditation. If you don't want to know meditation, I've done an episode about meditation, a lot of episodes in this YouTube channel, in the podcast about meditation. So do check that out. Let's go on to the third one, which is one of my favorites, which is reading. And I wish I've done it earlier in my life. Without new material for our brains to process, we stop learning and we stop growing as we are today. When you finish college or even high school, you think that reading books stop there. And I thought so too. When I finished college at 21, I already thought like, okay, I'm done with books. Woohoo! Throw it away. And I never thought that 10, 15 years after, I would be right back to reading more books than I read my entire school life, like from kinder to college. In college, I never actually even read a book. I just copied my way through school. I was so bored with school. Reading is an enormous part of one's transformation. When I ask people what are books that completely change their lives, they would say a lot of different books that help them transform their lives. And the way your brain interprets your life from moment to moment is how life would show up for you. Change what's happening in the brain. When you read, it helps change your life. I've done, again, a lot of episodes talking about why is it important to read. I think probably done 5 or 7 topics already about reading, and I'll keep on saying this until all the people who religiously watch me or listen to me in a podcast would actually read books as a habit. So that's number 3, read. Number 4, I know a lot of people will raise their eyebrows about this, especially if they've never lifted a finger in their life, but it's very important. Exercise. Exercise is a habit that is really important in our everyday lives. It is one of the most effective yet simple habits that can turn your life around completely. If you wake up sluggishly or if you're sickly, I always say that prevention will always be better than cure. If you're high in cholesterol, high blood, or there's a cancer history in your family, being fit is the safest way to become free of all those sickness that can possibly come your way. I would always say prevention will always be better than cure. And it's way cheaper too. Exercise, it doesn't doesn't mean that you need to go out to the gym and, deadlift 250 or do it like how Heidi Lin does it every day. You're not training to be an athlete here or, a gold medalist. No, I'm not saying you should, or I'm not trying to say you need to have six-pack abs to look fit and feel fit. You just have to find what is right for you and what enjoying for you. If you like boxing, if you like doing Muay Thai, if you like playing basketball, if you like playing sports as a fitness hobby. I like doing CrossFit and I like playing basketball. It's one thing that I enjoy more than, for example, cycling or biking. I tried biking. It's not really my thing, but it's something that I have to do once a week. But it becomes a habit for me. And do it repeatedly and just show up. I talk about why it's important to just show up every day, because when you show up for 5 minutes wearing all your gym clothes, you're already there. So might as well give it your best. Exercise. It's really important. Everyone will say how exercise is important, but I'll say it again. Exercise is important because it helps prevent all those sickness to happen to you, and your mind, your body, and your soul is a lot fitter than everyone else. And that in itself is already an advantage for you. Exercise. Number 5, self-discipline. A lot of people have their own definition of what self-discipline is. Working on enhancing your self-discipline is a core habit that everyone must have. I always say this to a lot of people: Coach, can you give me motivation and inspiration? I don't feel motivated to do what I do. And what do I say to them? You don't need motivation and inspiration. What you need are better habits. That's what I always say. You don't need that, because motivation, inspiration is like this. Goes up and down, up and down. But consistency, because of habits, is like this. If you're used to working out 5 times a week, it's like this, because it's a habit. You don't need to be inspired by someone to just work out today, because next week you'll forget about that guy that inspired you on YouTube that deadlifts 600 pounds. You won't have that same motivation over and over again. The key to creating a happy, healthy, productive work and a great personal life is to have self-discipline. Practice self-discipline because it enables you to do 4 important things. Number 1, it helps you take control on yourself, because you're able to take control of your problems before your problems take care of you. That's an important thing. Number 2, you become more consistent with your goals, because if you have an important goal, you don't go sideways doing side things that are not important. You focus on your goals, so you're doing everything to reach your goals. So that's discipline. Number 3, you're mentally and emotionally stronger than most people, because you know what you want to achieve. And lastly, you take control over all sorts of desires. Desire is something that makes us sad and miserable. The more we desire, the less happier we are. Just think about this. What are the top 3 things that people usually desire? Nice house, nice car, and maybe a nice family, perhaps. Something like that, right? Or probably a great job. Mix it up somewhere, for sure, that will come up in the top things that people want. So the more you desire those things, the sadder you are, because you compare what you wish and what you have right now, so it becomes sadness for you. I talk about that in another episode. I think we talk about that, about happiness, but probably share it here, somewhere in the screen, about what it means to be truly happy. But number 5, self-discipline, because if you have self-discipline, it creates that happiness for you. And lastly, this is something I started doing actually during the start of lockdown, which was 2020, which I had more time to reflect on, which is journaling. I started actually writing on notebooks. I now have notebooks. I write thoughts in the morning and I write my thoughts at night. It may be 2 lines, 3 lines, at most maybe 5 lines, because I absolutely hate to write, because I have the worst penmanship in the world, but I don't care. It's for me to read and reflect on. So writing a journal need not to be something like a tiresome task that you have. You just have to decide what and how much you want to write, right? It could be just one word. Like you can just write in, I'm so tired as fuck, or this day has been awesome. That's it. You don't have to elaborate, because you already know what it meant that day. You would remember it went awesome because you had a wonderful day that day, and you would remember that. Try to keep a daily journal and note all the things that happened in the day. And if you absolutely hate writing like me, then just keep a gratitude journal. Be thankful and just write one thing that you're always grateful for each day. I did something that actually surprised my wife. Instead of, the movie 10 Things I Hate About You. So instead of thinking of 10 things I hate about my wife, I wrote down 100 plus things that I appreciate and love about my wife. When I started doing it, probably on the 35th note, I was already struggling to find anything that I appreciate. Not that my wife is a bad person. She's absolutely great. She's awesome. I love her to the moon and back. It's just that people are used to easily seeing the bad in another person. You may love your partner very much, but you probably end up with words to explain how good and great she is as a partner, as a mother, etc., as you go on. But if you do that practice, you will take longer and longer actually complete that. And I've probably done 100 plus things that I wrote down in a notebook. It probably took me more than 60 days completed, because in some days, some were just repeated. Like point number 17 was the same with point number 17, and so I had to erase it because it's close in the same. It took me a while, but then when I finished it and actually showed it to her, that how grateful I am to have her by my side, maybe realized to see more of what another person does good for you rather than the bad that it contains. Because admit it, no one's perfect. People have good habits and people have bad habits and tendencies, but we tend to look at the bad habits that people have. I tend with that journal to see more of the good in other people. That's the good thing about journaling. It's a great habit to have if you actually journal. And I wish that a lot of people would do that more often. If you are already journaling, let me know in the comment section if you are and what you write down in your journals every day. Question of the day: which one of the 6 habits that can completely transform your life do you think you want to apply to yourself immediately and do it consistently without checking if there's growth that's going on? Let me know.